name is Sunny Kilmer. I'm a physician assistant at DeWitt Family Care Clinic here in Lakeway. I'm here to talk to you about sex. Why? Because sex affects us every day. We live in a sexually saturated society. Sex is on the TV, it's in the movies, it's on the internet. Half of us are walking around half dressed because that's the style. Sex has an effect on us. And as a healthcare provider, I talk with patients every day about sex. Unfortunately, I hear of a lot of unexpected and unwanted results that come from sex. And so I'm here to help educate and give the basic facts on sex. I saw this sex education program from Scott and White. I saw this in the spring with about 200 other healthcare providers. And I have to say that sitting in the room with that many healthcare providers after seeing this talk, we were all stunned at how poorly we feel we're getting this information out to the public. So I'm here again as a healthcare provider to give you the basic facts and information on sex, and to get this information out to parents, teachers, and teens themselves so that they can make the best informed decisions for their future. This information is offered as a complete curriculum package by Scott and White in a 2-day training seminar offered for free, with the exception of the cost of going up and staying there to go through it, if the school is implementing this information into their program. First, I'd like to tell you a few things I think are important as adults, and then I'll get on to my talk I want to present to teens. So why do we have to worry about teens having sex? Because things can happen. You can get a sexually transmitted disease. You can get pregnant. There's social issues, and there's also legal consequences. The good news is, not as many teens are having sex today. Not as much as in the past, but it's still pretty significant. I recently talked to a high school student, and she told me here in Lake Travis at the high school that an anonymous survey, which I feel should be pretty accurate, showed that 47% of the students were having sex. That's a lot, about half the kids. So pick a teenager and there's 50-50 chance they are having sex. But there are less births and abortions, so something's working to lower the rate. Now, what can we do as parents, teachers, grandparents, healthcare provider? What I think is most important here is we need to talk to our teenagers. We need to listen. We need to be involved in their lives. Show them that we care. Talk to them about our beliefs, what we think is best for them. Talking, listening, being involved. I really feel that being involved and being interested in our kids' lives are the mainstay of having a good, healthy society. So, again, just be a part of our kids' teens' lives. Teens do admit that a few things do help them delay having sex. Number one, an adolescent can make a pledge of virginity. There's cards that you can fill out that says, I pledge to make, I pledge, what is it? I make a pledge of virginity until such and such time. Also, if parents disapprove of having sex and using birth control, again, you have to talk to your kids and be involved with them so that they know what you approve and disapprove of and how you feel about sex and birth control. So our opinions make a difference. Again, parent-family connectedness, I think that's the key. That should be at the top of the list. Also, school connectedness and higher grades. I consider having healthier goals helps avoid kids getting into sex and other trouble. We got to talk to our kids. We got to talk to them about sex. We don't want it to be a one-time sit-down, deep talk about sex. We need to start talking about sex more comfortably and seize every opportunity. For example, you're watching a movie and a nude scene comes on. That's probably what, every show? Don't change the channel, but watch it with your child and then maybe ask what they thought about it. You know, oh wow, they didn't really know each other. What'd you think about that? You know, talk to them about it. Make it something to talk about. I really think they're going through enough and confused enough that they want to talk about these things, but you really need to bring it up and initiate it. Also, we need to give them accurate information. If you don't know an answer to their question, don't lie to them. Tell them, I honestly don't know, but I'll get back to you with that information. Why this is so important is teens actually admit that their parents' influence is the biggest influence on their decision whether or not they're having sex. We got to take advantage of that opportunity to make that influence. Talk to our kids, get involved. My point here is adolescents need to know that they don't need to be told sex is bad, don't do it, you know, and especially not talk about it. You know, adolescents need to know that sex is necessary. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for sex. Sex can be pleasurable, but sex is a very responsible activity that can have tremendous consequences. So here's my talk I'd like to give to teens. And when I'm talking to them, I'm going to say, I'm not here to keep you all from having sex. If that's what I think I'm here, I may as well turn around and go home now. I'm here to give you the basic facts on sex, kind of like that famous book called Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Sex But Were Afraid to Ask. Here I am. I hope you're not afraid to ask questions, and I'm just here to educate about sex, answer any questions, and hopefully you can make the most informed decisions for your future. So what am I going to talk about? Sex. First of all, we need to talk about the law. Sex can actually be against the law, so we need to just cover that briefly. Criminal law defines sex or sexual contact as the intentional touching of the genitals, breast, anus, genital, private areas, with the intent to gratify or satisfy sexual desire or arouse. So think about it. Walking down the hallway and grabbing someone's genitals for a cheap thrill, you can get busted. That's actually against the law. So you need to respect those things and people's boundaries. Sex is not something to play with. Sexual abuse is very unfortunate and unfortunately common. I think it's pretty eye-opening that the statistics are 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually abused by the age of 18. That's a lot of people, and that's a lot of people in this room. There's different ways that people can be sexually abused that I'd like to run through. Indecency, exposing yourself, your genitals, to someone under the age of 17. So maybe think twice while you're playing truth or dare about running around the block naked. That may not be appreciated by the neighbors who have their children outside. You could get busted. Child pornography, you hear about this all the time on the TV, especially with the internet. Date rape, basically being raped by someone that you know and may even be a quote-unquote friend. So we'll talk more about that. Incest is sex among family members. Fondling, again, is just touching someone's genitals really without permission or that was not provoked, that is not wanted for sexual desire. And forced sex, any form of forced sex is wrong. It's against the law. You can go to jail. Sexual assault, again, rape, very common. It affects about 1 million females per year in the U.S. And over half of all these are teens. And most of these are not reported, and they really should be. Because we really need to try to protect ourselves from it happening again and protecting other people from getting harmed too. I encourage anyone, if this has happened to you in the audience, to talk with someone that you trust. Because these really need to be reported, not only for your own healing, moving on, taking care of yourself, but to also prevent it from happening to someone else. And having this person suffer the consequences that it's against the law. Avoid risky situations. I hear this all the time, particularly with rape, date rape. A lot of times, I mean, there's no way that you can 100% avoid being raped unless you put yourself in a, I mean, it can still happen. But there are certain situations that make you much more at risk of being sexually assaulted. Avoid being at a party where there's a lot of drugs and alcohol. I heard this recently. Someone went to a party, everyone was already drunk. Don't want to give more details, but something happened that was not wanted. And think about that. If you're in a room and you're outnumbered, say if you're a girl and you're outnumbered, there's a lot of guys, they've been drinking, that's not a safe situation. Don't leave a crowd or a party with someone that you don't really know. And try not to be caught alone where no one can help if you need it. Also be careful of dating much older partners. Dating someone older, they often tend to be more experienced and may have higher expectations on you. Sexual felonies, or sexual offenses that are a felony is the worst of the sexual crimes. And a felony is punishable by jail. And examples of these are indecency, again, exposing yourself to someone under the age of 18, rape or sexual assault, and aggravated sexual assault, which basically means very aggressive sex, rape, with intent to hurt the person. You can go to jail. So why do some teens have sex? Some people say, I'm in love. Love does not equal sex. These are not synonymous words. You have to decide, are you in love or are you in lust? They're two totally different things. Love is when you truly care about someone, which takes time, and you really care about their safety, their whereabouts. It takes time and trust to develop that for a person. Lust is simply having sexual feelings for someone. Just because I was attracted to my waiter last night doesn't mean it's okay for me to act on that, especially when you're with your husband. Some people say it's fun or it feels good. But for how long? 5 minutes? Are you going to feel good about that for the rest of your life? You have to think about the consequences. You're probably not going to feel good if you contracted herpes or some other STD or AIDS. So you got to think about the long term, how this is going to feel. If you could possibly regret what you're doing, it's probably not right. Some people say, I want to fit in. Not everyone is having sex. Some guys may be going around saying they're having sex all the time, and they may or may not. But does that really make them cool? I know when I was dating, I didn't want to date someone that had been around the block a few times. I want someone to love me. Again, love does not equal sex. Having sex with someone doesn't instantly make them love you. If you that desperately, if you really want someone to love you, perhaps the problem is poor self-esteem and poor self-confidence, and sex is not a band-aid to making you feel better about yourself. If you're feeling badly about yourself and you go having sex with people to hopefully get someone to love you, you're probably just going to feel worse about yourself. I want to have a baby. Great, when you're ready. And I hate to speak for everyone, and I won't, but when I was a teenager, I wasn't ready to have sex. I wasn't ready to have a baby. Babies are big responsibilities and cost a whole lot of money, need 24-hour supervision. Babies are big responsibilities, and every time you have sex, you need to think, am I ready to get pregnant and have a baby? Because there's no 100% effective form of birth control. Some people say it's natural. Yes, it's natural to have sexual feelings, but again, is it really right to act on those feelings? It's natural to get angry